Joining me with the next steps is Adam Day, chair of the Citizens Stadium Advisory Group. And Adam, remind us of the goal of last night's public forum.
Well, the main goal was to hear from the public their good ideas about what site they prefer for a new multi-use stadium and then how to finance it. It's something that's never been done before in 13 years. We've never had a public forum, and so it was real exciting. There was a lot of enthusiasm and passion in the crowd. We had about 3,000 people come up, and it really helped us to inform our recommendations that we're going to be making to the mayor very soon.
And out of those 3,000 people, you said a couple hundred maybe spoke. Did you hear any new ideas?
We did. We heard some interesting ideas like when we tear down the old stadium, let's sell off the seats and sell them for about $100 a piece and raise $7 to $10 million. We also heard ideas like Green Bay when they formed a crowdfunding account and raised $70 million. A lot of testimony about the county's involvement and who should vote. So yeah, it was very, very helpful to our committee, and we look forward to making our recommendations soon.
There's a lot of focus on building the new stadium where the current Qualcomm Stadium is in Mission Valley. Is a downtown site still being considered?
We're considering 2 sites. That's what the mayor asked us to do. And last night's testimony will help us make a recommendation. It's certainly true. The overwhelming majority of the testimony last night supported the existing location. But we're looking at pros and cons of both. And there's different constraints, legal, environmental, fiscal, and all of that's going to go into our recommendations back to the mayor.
The Metropolitan Transit System actually said last week that the preferred downtown site wouldn't be available for 5 to 7 years. So why is it still on the table?
Well, you know, there's been 9 or 10 different locations that have been studied in the last 13 years, and it's really these 2 locations that have been left standing. And so the information from MTS is not really new news. I think that's been out there for quite some time, but it's important for us to take that into consideration before we make a final recommendation.
So it's not a deal breaker at this point?
Well, I think it's something that has to be considered in the overall grand picture. I mean, as I said, both sites have pros and cons. Some of them are more costly than others. You have to consider other partnerships that might be available, and the cost of land, that's an important consideration as well.
Money seems to be the biggest challenge here. Is the advisory group actually taking into consideration County Supervisor Ron Roberts' financial plan or any other specific plans you've heard so far?
Well, we look forward to all kinds of good ideas, and there was a lot of good ideas last night. Supervisor Roberts has some great ideas as well. I think ultimately our recommendation isn't really rocket science, but it's more about packaging different revenue streams together to make the right fit. As the mayor said, it needs to work for the city's budget, it needs to work for the taxpayers, and it certainly needs to work for the Chargers as the primary tenant, but there will be other tenants in a new multi-use facility too, and so we need to look at all revenue options that are on the table.
Will the site plan actually be announced before a revenue plan or a financing plan, or will they come at the same time?
Well, we look to have all of our work done by the middle of May, but I think we're building momentum and we're developing a consensus within our committee as to whether or not we should pick a site sooner rather than later. That way we can focus all of our energy on the revenue financing plan. So I think we may have some other announcements to make in the near future.
Well, the Chargers announced, of course, a possible move to a shared Charger Raiders stadium. It's hard to put those 2 words together in Carson. But now there's a move that move actually is going to be financed by Goldman Sachs. How can San Diego compete with that kind of offer?
Well, we acknowledge that LA is a different market, but that doesn't mean that San Diego doesn't deserve a NFL franchise. As I said earlier, and as speakers spoke to last night, you know, we just went through an effort to save the Opera in San Diego, and the Opera is very important to the fabric of San Diego, and so is NFL football. We think Goldman Sachs would be a great partner with the Chargers here in San Diego as well. So we encourage them to work cooperatively with the Chargers in finding a solution with us and here at the city.
Now, economists say, listen, that these football stadiums and these types of things don't have a big economic impact, and this one won't either in San Diego. So what are some of the other reasons you heard as to why to keep the Chargers here in San Diego?
Well, I think there is certainly a positive economic impact. It may not mean that it makes a profit per se for the city, but it certainly needs to be fair to the city and the taxpayers. But there are other benefits to having a multi-use facility beyond just dollars and cents, and we heard a lot of that last night. It's a very important institution. There's a lot of activities besides football that will occur in a modern, efficient facility, religious, political, community groups. So it's a tremendous asset. We're the 8th largest city in the country, and we think we deserve a facility that you know stands on its own.
All right, Adam Day, thanks so much for the update.
Thank you.